from the American Jewish Committee. I spoke to the American Jewish Committee a few months ago, and they wanted to partner on a town hall. And I said, well, we're having a town hall, and we'd love for you to come, because we all remember here on the West Side incidents of anti-Semitism in recent months, including the incident at Effie's, that staple of our Upper West Side neighborhood that was defaced with anti-Semitic hate. So Marisa Bearak, who's the assistant director of the American Jewish Committee, is going to talk about a survey that they conducted around this very important topic here in New York City and across the state. So without further ado, welcome, Marisa.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you everyone for being here. To briefly start, for those of you who don't know about AJC, we are the global Jewish advocacy organization. We are located in 25 regional offices across the United States, and we have 15 international posts. Just for some background, there are about 15.2 million Jews in the entire world. To put that into perspective, that is 0.2% of the entire world's 8 billion population. There are about 7 million Jews in Israel, which is a country smaller than New Jersey. And in the United States, Jews make up about 2% of the entire US population. In New York, about 1/3 of Jewish Americans live in the state. Most of us are concentrated in and around New York City. So about 1 in 10 New Yorkers is Jewish, which can make it seem like there are a lot of us, not just in the US, but around the world, but that's actually not the case. Annually, the American Jewish Committee releases a survey on the state of anti-Semitism in America. This is data from the 2023 survey. We actually pulled it from the field right after the October 7th terrorist attacks in Israel, and surveyed additional people, both the general US population and American Jews. You can see here that 93% of American Jews think anti-Semitism is a problem in the United States today. As you can imagine, that number went up from 2022, which was at 89%. And I can only imagine that when we release the 2024 report in early 2025, we will see that number jump even higher than it already is. 63% of American Jews in 2023 say that the status of Jews in the US is less secure than a year ago. To put that into perspective, in 2022, that number was 41%. So it jumped in just a year from 41% to 63%. 62% of American Jews have seen or heard anti-Semitism online or on social media in the past year. I'm sure many of us are aware that anti-Semitism has been permeating online spaces, particularly social media, especially post-October 7th. And 78% of American Jews report feeling less safe in the US following the Hamas terrorist attacks. 1 in 5 American Jews feel unsafe when attending any of the Jewish institutions with which they are affiliated because of anti-Semitism. And of course, we're all aware of the anti-Semitism that's been permeating across education spaces, particularly on our college campuses, not just in New York City, but throughout the United States. 1 in 5 current or recent Jewish college students report feeling or being excluded from a group or event because they are Jewish. To put that into perspective, Jewish students are feeling very isolated, and colleges and universities need to do better and be held accountable to uphold their policies or adapt their policies for the challenges that they're facing today. So why now? Why is it so important to talk about anti-Semitism? We're seeing a deepening polarization, political polarization across the United States, a rise in conspiracy theories. We saw a rise in conspiracy theories against Jews at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Holocaust denialism is growing, and the Holocaust itself is retreating into distant history for many people. Of course, the mainstreaming of anti-Semitism and extremism, and growing weaponization of the intractable Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Here in New York City in particular, most, as we heard earlier from our elected officials, most hate and bias incidents target members of the Jewish community. In June, the NYPD reported that 45 anti-Semitic incidents occurred in that month, and 57% of all hate crimes in the city were anti-Jewish. And this cloud that you see, it's from the NYPD hate crimes dashboard, and the data is through June of this year. In 2024, 200 of 329 incidents were targeted against Jews, and these are confirmed incidents. So not all incidents that were reported, but these are all confirmed. And I can tell you, as someone who has been researching and giving these presentations for years now, this cloud with the word Jewish being the largest, that has been occurring for the past several years now. And of course, there's an image here. It's a little bit blurry, but in June, there was a protester who entered a New York City subway train and said, "Raise your hand if you're a Zionist," and threatened Jews who to say, "Now's your chance to get off of this train." So that's just a little bit of what Jews are dealing with in the city right now. So something that we need to talk about as well is the changing landscape of anti-Semitism. I encourage all of you, when you leave here today at our literature table, to take one of these glossaries called Translate Hate. It has over 90 terms, including things like Holocaust denial and conspiracy theory, and Zionist, when that is used against Jews in a way that is perceived as anti-Semitic. Anti-Semitism is a symptom of a deeper societal problem. It's the proverbial canary in a coal mine. One thing you may have heard about is something called the Great Replacement Theory, and it's a conspiracy that claims Jews are behind efforts to essentially drive out the white race from the US. And it is an underlying motive of several anti-Semitic and racist incidents, including the Tree of Life Pittsburgh synagogue shooting in 2018, as well as the 2022 Buffalo shooting at Tops Supermarket. Civil rights strategist Eric Ward, he noted that while the Buffalo shooter targeted African Americans, the underlying motive was a perceived war against the Jewish community. So where do we go from here? 9 in 10 Americans, both Jews and non-Jewish adults in the United States, say that it's important for Jewish communities and other religious and ethnic communities to increase cooperation with each other. So what can you do to support your Jewish neighbors and the wider Jewish community? There are many different avenues that you can explore. I encourage you to do so. One is protecting Jewish institutions, and one way to do that is when you report anti-Semitic incidents, and we have literature about that as well, reporting anti-Semitism to federal agencies, law enforcement, and social media. Preventing online threats, holding social media platforms accountable. Encouraging media literacy, especially in an age of growing anti-Semitism and conspiracy theories and extremism. Education, strengthening education on Jews, anti-Semitism, and the Holocaust. And as community members, participating in bridge-building coalitions and initiatives. I want to emphasize that fighting anti-Semitism isn't just a Jewish issue. It's something that must be done by all members of society, both with grassroots efforts that include you as community members and local organizations, as well as grass-tops organizations and institutions like AJC, as well as our elected officials and policymakers at all levels of government. This collaborative effort is the best way to combat, condemn, and dismantle anti-Semitism. It's up to all of us to work together to do that. And finally, if you have any questions, feel free to jot down my information, my director Josh Kramer's information. He was supposed to be here today, but he welcomed a baby boy a couple of days ago. So you all got me today instead. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.